In today's video, I took a first-class flight for a full 24 hours. I had 5 meals and even offered my seat to a couple. Thanks to that, I was blessed. What exactly happened? What's up guys, this is DDN. There are only a few first-class seats worldwide that are truly exceptional. Among them, the Singapore Airlines New Suites is a dream first-class seat for couples, where 2 seats combine to form a large bed. Among the first-class seats operated by Singapore Airlines, it is installed only on 12 A380 aircraft, and it is deployed only on selected routes, making it a very hard-to-get first-class seat. I was able to board the Singapore-New York route, which is the longest among the A380 New Suites routes. Usually when we fly to New York, we cross the Pacific Ocean, but the A380 I boarded crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the opposite direction. Because the A380's range cannot cover Singapore to New York non-stop, it first flies to Frankfurt, Germany. After refueling in Frankfurt, it picks up passengers again and flies to New York. From the airline's perspective, this route is reasonable because it serves passengers on both the Singapore-Frankfurt and Frankfurt-New York routes. Thanks to this, a first-class route with a total flight time of 23 hours and 15 minutes was created. When first-class passengers of Singapore Airlines arrive at Singapore Changi Airport, they move to a completely separate dedicated first-class terminal. Even though it's only for check-in, the scale is enormous. You can sit comfortably while all the processes from check-in to baggage handling are completed. Even immigration is done at a dedicated counter just for first-class passengers, and I finished the screening in just 30 seconds. Before boarding the aircraft, let's use the first-class lounge. At Singapore Changi Airport, there is the famous Singapore Airlines Silver Chris Lounge. Among first-class passengers, New Suites passengers use a separate lounge called the private room, not the general first-class lounge. From the entrance chandelier and flower decorations, to the space decorated with a mix of blue, light brown and gray, the lounge lives up to its name with a cozy yet luxurious atmosphere. At the front of the lounge, areas are set up for relaxing or working, and in the quiet inner section, there is a separate space for sleeping. Not only there are reclining chairs for resting, but also private rooms similar to hotel rooms. It seems perfect to rest deeply, then freshen up with a shower before boarding. Of course, there is also a dining area where you can enjoy fine dining. Let's try the meat. They first asked if I wanted champagne, so I requested a glass of Taitinger, but it wasn't the Taitinger I had in mind. They served the top-tier Comte de Champagne Blanc de Blanc among Taitinger champagnes. I had a salad with smoked duck, and since it's Singapore Airlines, I couldn't skip the satay. It was the delicious Wagyu satay, sweet yet spicy, as always. For the main course, I had pasta topped with lobster and salmon roe. It was cooked al dente, firm and tasty. For dessert, I had a Singaporean-style dish that looked like sweet red bean porridge. After eating all this before the flight, I wondered if I was overeating, but since this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I really pushed my limits with all that food. Now, shall we board the aircraft? Today's aircraft is the A380, the largest civil aircraft in the world. Singapore Airlines was the launch customer to fly the A380 in October 2007, the first airline in the world to operate the aircraft, and is currently the second largest operator of the A380 after Emirates. After COVID-19, many airlines retired their large aircraft A380s, and Singapore Airlines also retired some of their A380s. However, all 12 A380s currently in operation by Singapore Airlines have undergone a full cabin retrofit and are equipped with the latest first-class seats, the New Suites. The first-class seats on Singapore Airlines A380 are located at the very front of the upper deck, featuring just 6 suites arranged in 3 rows with 2 suites per row. As soon as I stepped into my suite, I was stunned. This didn't feel like an airplane seat, it felt more like a private room. Unlike Emirates Airlines, which places 4 first-class seats per row on its A380, Singapore Airlines installs only 2 per row, allowing for an incredible amount of space. Unlike most first-class seats that convert into beds, Singapore Airlines' new suites offer a separate seat and bed, so you get one of each, which is a huge advantage. The seat has an overall brown tone, which feels neutral, and the use of leather gives it a luxurious look. A cushion with bright orange color adds a point. The carpet also matches the color tone, and its raised texture makes it look more high-end. The wall isn't just normal either, it's decorated with a flower that symbolizes Singapore Airlines. Next to the seat, there's a menu and a few drinks, and even a small table with a single flower that adds a sentimental touch. The in-flight dining table is hidden inside this small table. On the wall by the aisle, there's a large screen for entertainment, but since it doesn't face the seat directly, you might think it would be hard to watch, right? No need to worry at all. Using the controller in the armrest, you can rotate both the seat and the screen. I've flown first class several times, but it's my first time seeing a seat that rotates. During takeoff and landing, regulations require the seat to face forward, but when watching the screen, you can turn the seat to direction of the screen, and you can also turn the seat toward the window, so you can enjoy the view while flying. It's truly new world. Each seat in the Singapore Airlines new suites is assigned 2 windows. Between the seat and the windows, there are 3 storage compartments. The inside of the compartments is lined with leather, giving a more luxurious appearance. In the middle compartment, there is a mirror with lights attached, and the angle can be adjusted. Next to that, there's a tablet separate from the main screen, so you can watch a movie and check flight information at the same time using the 2 screens individually. There's also additional storage space below, with a power outlet and USB port available. There is no overhead compartments in the new suites, but there's a wardrobe next to the entrance of the seat. Usually wardrobes in other airlines first class are too narrow for carry-ons or large backpacks, but maybe because of the spaciousness of the A380, this wardrobe is big enough to store even a bulky backpack. The seat I reserved that day was 1F, which is the very front seat on the right side of the aircraft. As briefly shown earlier, the first and second row seats in Singapore Airlines new suites can be combined. In other words, my seat 1F and 2F next to it can be turned into one single room. That day, a German couple had booked seats 2F and 3F, but it seemed they didn't realize those 2 seats were connected. As I was filming, a flight attendant came over and politely asked if I would be willing to move to 3F. Since I still had the Frankfurt, New York segment ahead, I gladly agreed to switch.
제가 기쁜 마음으로 난 같이 갈 사람이 없으니까 바꿔드렸습니다. 프랑크푸르트에서 뉴욕 갈 때는 다시 1F로 갈 거지만 이번 프랑크푸르트까지 갈 때는 그래서 3F로 옮겼습니다.
They later came to thank me in person and even shared their contact details. Seeing the "Do Not Disturb" sign lit up at their seats throughout the flight made me feel proud. Now that we've had a good look at the seat, it's time to begin 13-hour flight from Singapore to Frankfurt. Before takeoff, I was served a glass of welcome champagne. Krug was served. You could choose between Taitinger and Krug, and I was honestly amazed that 2 top-tier champagnes were being offered. Since the flight departed close to midnight, dinner was served shortly after reaching cruising altitude. The table was exceptionally large, thick, and sturdy. The meal began with caviar, a hallmark of first-class service. All tableware used during the in-flight meal was from Wedgwood, the renowned British luxury ceramics brand. The appetizer was a salad served with duck terrine and balsamic dressing. A truffle chestnut soup was served alongside, and it was truly delicious. Since it's made from chestnuts, the soup was slightly sweet, but the strong aroma of truffle balanced it perfectly. For the main course, I could choose between Singapore-style noodles, chicken, and Thai beef curry. I chose the Singapore-style egg noodles, which the flight attendant highly recommended. It had a rich pork broth with boiled pork, fried pork, meatballs made from minced pork, mushrooms, and cabbage. It was incredibly comforting and delicious. For dessert, a chocolate tart was served with vanilla ice cream, and I quickly finished my favorite cheese plate with honey. Since there's still a long way to go, shall we brush our teeth and change into comfortable clothes? Compared to Middle Eastern Airlines first class, one thing Singapore Airlines new suites lack is a shower service. Instead, one of the bathrooms is incredibly spacious. At the front, there's a sink, and inside is the toilet. In the middle, there's a dressing table with a mirror, like a powder room. The drawers are fully stocked with shaving supplies and combs. The provided pajamas are from Lalique, a French glassware and homeware brand. Not only the pajamas, but also the amenity kits, blankets, and even slippers provided in first-class seat are all from this brand. The pajamas were soft and warm, and I wore them comfortably throughout the trip. Singapore Airlines first-class amenities come in leather pouches, black for men and white for women. Inside there are Lalique perfume, body lotion, lip balm, and facial mist. The noise-cancelling earphones provided were from Bang & Olufsen, the renowned Danish audio brand. Occasionally, flight attendants came by to offer snacks, and they also brought fruits and drinks. The flight attendant laid down the mattress that was standing against the wall, and then prepared it with covers, blankets, and pillows. Since the seat wasn't converted into a bed, but was a bed from the start, there was no discomfort at all. The mattress itself was soft, and the space was quite spacious, making it the most genuine bed experience among all the first-class bedding services I've tried so far. Thanks to that, I slept very comfortably and deeply. I woke up 2 hours before landing to have breakfast. Breakfast started with coffee and a light fruit yogurt. A variety of warm breads were also prepared, and I could choose and eat as much as I wanted. Next came the pancakes, part of Singapore Airlines' newly launched premium in-flight menu called Deliciously Wholesome. This menu must be pre-ordered in advance. While I didn't feel a huge difference personally, it was clear they paid attention to health by using organic ingredients and such. Scrambled eggs were served, topped with caviar and smoked salmon, fitting for first-class seat. After finishing the second in-flight meal, I arrived in Frankfurt. Since all passengers must disembark for refueling, I got off as well. During the 1.5-hour layover, passengers can use Lufthansa's Senator Lounge. I took a shower and changed clothes during the short break. The Senator Lounge felt like a standard business lounge. After that, I boarded the flight from Frankfurt to New York, and this time I sat in my original seat, 1F. Interestingly, the cabin had been perfectly cleaned during the short layover. I made a point to check every corner, and it felt like boarding a brand new plane. For the welcome drink, I chose the Taitinger Comte de Champagne Blanc de Blancs again. While enjoying the champagne, something truly miraculous happened.
제가 아까 자기가 양보해드렸잖아요. 정말 착하게 살아야 되는지 그렇게 해드렸던 이번에 제 자리가 이 한 줄이 다 비었대요. 다 비어서 이 세 자리는 그냥 다 써도 된다고. 특히 여기 열리는 자리 열어주신다고 하셔가지고 착하게 살아야 된다는 걸 다시 한번 배우려고.
On the flight departing from Frankfurt, the flight attendants were completely changed. I'm not sure if it was because they were informed about me giving up my seat on the previous flight, but they kindly told me to feel free to use all 3 seats from 1F to 3F. You really should live kindly, everyone. I happily enjoyed the third in-flight meal. First came Singapore Airlines' iconic satay, which is always welcome. For the appetizer, a beet-infused salmon dish was served. The main course was roulade, made by wrapping finely minced beef in cabbage leaves. It was creative, but to be honest, I prefer a regular steak over minced beef. Warm bread was served with Italian Colavita olive oil, and once again, caviar was included without fail. I ordered Krug again to pair with the meal. For dessert, a cream-filled choux pastry was served with a tangy citrus sauce, ending the meal on a refreshing note. Finally, the 2 seats were transformed and combined. 3 flight attendants came to assist with the setup. They lowered the partition wall between the 2 seats and set up the beds in each seat, creating an incredibly large bed. The row 1 seat is quite different from that of rows 2 and 3. While the seats in rows 2 and 3 are positioned close to the back wall, the row 1 seat is located further forward, as the bed is placed behind it. Because of this forward position, it's difficult to watch the side screen during takeoff when you're facing straight ahead, so there's an additional screen installed in front of the seat. And since the seat is further forward, the table for in-flight meals is also positioned more toward the front. The bed formed by combining the two seats was absolutely massive. It made me question whether I was really on a plane. It was wider than any first-class seat offered by any airline in the world, and having this entire bed to myself felt nothing short of royal. Even though the beds are joined together, there are still 2 separate screens in front, so even if you're flying with someone, you can each watch your own movie in peace. Looking back, lying on that massive bed might have been the happiest moment of my flying life. You can lie it fully flat when it's time to sleep, or raise the headrest to sit up and enjoy a movie. You can adjust it to your comfort and preference. The Frankfurt-New York leg felt a bit short compared to the previous segment, and before I knew it, the 24-hour journey was nearing its end. The fourth final in-flight meal was served a light refreshment. I chose the mini burger over the Thai-style rice porridge. The patty was flavorful and paired well with the cheese, and I enjoyed it even more by adding the pickles and tomato ketchup that came with it. Instead of regular fries, they served sweet potato fries, which was a nice touch. After finishing the meal, the plane finally arrived in New York after 24 hours. During takeoff and landing, the beds have to be put back into their original seats, and even though the 2 seats were joined, at this time without exception, you have to face each other's backs.
24시간의 비행이 거의 다 끝나갑니다. 거의 다 끝났어요. 진짜 그때 24시간 거였네요. 저도 좀 빨리 도착하지 않을까 했는데 거의 딱 24시간 걸린 것 같습니다. 비행 시간이 충분히 들었기 때문에 즐기기도 하고 잠도 좀 자고 영화도 한편 보고 해서 너무 좋았고 무엇보다 진짜 예전에 유튜브에서 보고 와 나도 좀 탈 수 있을까 생각했던 좌석을 직접 타니까 너무 꿈만 같고 행복하고 게다가 또 좋게 좌석 2개를 훔쳐주셔서 아 진짜 지금 믿겨지지가 않네. 너무 좋았습니다. 아까 승용분이 오셔서 피드백 줄 거 없냐고 했는데 제가 이거 타고서 불평하는 게 사람이 라고 얘기했을 만큼 완벽에 가까운 한국의 좌석인 것 같습니다. 어쨌든 저는 뉴욕에 도착을 곧 할 예정이고요. 긴 여정이 시작됩니다.
The Singapore Airlines new suite on the Singapore-New York route costs about $10,000 one way per person. I booked my ticket using 237,000 Singapore Airlines miles, paying around $1,800 in total including taxes. However, since Singapore Airlines replaced the A380 with a Boeing 777 on the Frankfurt-New York route, it's no longer possible to fly the exact same route I took. Instead, Singapore Airlines is currently operating the A380 new suites on routes to Sydney, London, Frankfurt, and Mumbai. Personally, considering seats, service, meals, entertainment, and lounges all together, I want to give my vote to Singapore Airlines First Class over Emirates First Class. I'm also planning to fly first class on Etihad and ANA in the future, so if you want exclusive travel info that only DDN can offer, please subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. Thank you.